Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley, and it is almost that time of year. Tomorrow, fall camp kicks off, and that means as of tomorrow, we are exactly 1 month away from the football season. It is almost football time in Tennessee. And look, I know a lot of you guys ride with me throughout the offseason, whether we're talking about transfer portal, we're talking about recruiting, whatever it is that we're talking about, you guys are ride or die with the Talkin VAWLS Network. But some of you guys take a little break, and then you come back, and it is almost that time. It is almost football time in Tennessee. What are you looking for? I'm excited because tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time, Eric Kane from VolQuest.com and Locked On Vols is going to be in the house. We're going to be talking about fall camp. We're going to be talking about expectations. We're going to talk storylines. What storylines are you guys looking at heading into fall camp tomorrow? Is it that left guard position? Is it the secondary? How quick does that secondary come along? You know, we talk about being younger. We talk about being more athletic. How confident are you in that secondary? Is it about having the best defensive line in the country? What are the storylines? Jump to the comment section. Let's talk a little fall camp, but we've also got to talk some recruiting because even though we're a month away from kicking off year 4 of the Josh Heupel era, in that time, throughout that month, we've got some big-time commitments coming off the board. It starts tonight. It starts tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Defensive lineman Darian Smith is coming off the board. Guess what? Wink, wink, nod, nod. We've got a video in the bank ready for you. Coach Jay is going to break down some film once Darian Smith makes it official and commits to Tennessee. We're going to take a look at his tape and what he brings to the table. Juan Gaston on August the 2nd. Faison Brandon, we're going to look ahead to the class of 26. Josh Petty on August the 12th. I do believe that Onis Conanbanny could be committing on August the 15th. But then the big one, David Sanders comes off the board on August the 17th. Now it's Georgia, it's Nebraska, it's Ohio State, and it's Tennessee. You can see there he's 6'5", almost 6'6", 276 pounds. We talk about being a needle mover. Over the weekend, you got the commitments from Shady Hayward. You got a commitment from Deshaun Brame. Tennessee went from 12th in the On3 industry rankings all the way up to 7th. 247 Sports has Tennessee as in the top 5, 5th best class in the country right now. What happens when you add the number 2 overall player in the country to the class of 2025? Kind of made the saying multiple times. He's not the icing of the cake. He's not the cherry on top. David Sanders is the cake. David Sanders is the one. Now, he had an interesting weekend because we saw an article last week that came out from his mom, said he wanted that one last impression. There was a lot of speculation. Where was that visit going to be? Was it going to be to Ohio State? Was it going to be to Nebraska? Well, we find out he was going to go take a visit to Nebraska, but he also came back and visited Tennessee for the 7th time this cycle. Did he visit Ohio State? No, we're going to read between the lines. We're going to see what the experts and the insiders are saying. Is David Sanders starting to trend to Tennessee? Before we do that, I need you guys to do all that YouTube stuff for me. Smash the thumbs up. It's quick, free, and easy. It helps the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the Talkin VAWLS Network, welcome. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're not reporters. We're not journalists. We don't pretend to be any of that stuff. What we are is fans. We're diehard, psychotic Tennessee fans. We are just like you. This channel is for the fans, by the fans. If you like what we do, make sure you subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You're not going to miss out when we go live or when we drop a video. Tonight is EA Sports College Football Night. I'm challenging you. Show up tonight, 6:30, probably maybe like 6:45ish, because we're expecting to drop a video at 6:30, so we may start the stream a little bit later than normal, but come hang out for that. Again, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Eric Kane of VolQuest and Locked On Vols is going to be in the house. Juan Gaston, live commitment on August the 2nd. Faison Brandon, live commitment on August the 3rd. Tons of content coming your way right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. But I want to talk David Sanders. Again, took them the trip to Nebraska over the weekend, followed that up, came back to Tennessee for that 7th visit. Let's go take a listen to what some of the insiders are saying about this weekend for David Sanders. We're going to start with Sean Callahan from Husker Online over at on3.com. He was on with Josh Newberg, and this is what he had to say. Let's take a listen.
It rolled out everything. David Sanders spent about 48 hours in Lincoln. What are your sources saying coming out of this one, Sean?
Yeah, it was actually quicker than that. He wasn't even in Lincoln for 24 hours.
Oh, really?
It was an afternoon arrival on Friday with an early morning Saturday departure. Then he went on to Tennessee. So for Nebraska, this was their second crack at David Sanders. He was here for his official weekend on Mother's Day. Dylan Raiola was not in town, though, and that is kind of the key recruiter for Nebraska on David Sanders. Dylan Raiola was away at his sister's college graduation, was not able to be in Lincoln on that Mother's Day weekend. So Dylan Raiola led the charge. I mean, he was with Sanders when he arrived and was with him the entire weekend. So they're making a strong push. There's no doubt. I mean, you get the sense right now, Tennessee is probably the team to beat, but I think Nebraska might be running second at this point. I think those are the two teams right now that have pulled ahead, and Sanders, no coincidence, visited both those schools here on Friday and Saturday over the weekend.
So let's kind of dig into that and let's kind of break down some of the comments he made. Again, he's a Nebraska insider. You've got the national media, the Chad Simmons, Steve Whitfongs, and then you've got the more local media, right? And Sean Callahan with Husker Online is to Nebraska what Austin Price is to VolQuest. So he has that connection. But let's kind of break down some of his comments. He talked about this being the second crack at David Sanders, and that's why we kind of speculated that maybe David was going to take that extra visit to Nebraska because he had only been out there once for the official. He talked about the relationship with Dylan Raiola. Spoiler alert, coming up in just a second, we're going to hear from Matt Ray, who also went on with Josh Newberg, and he talked about relationships, and he said that George McIntyre was probably the closest relationship that David Sanders has. He also goes on to say Tennessee is the team to beat, but Nebraska is running second. Nebraska is chasing. Now, I know I keep saying this over and over and over, but it keeps ringing true. We heard the same thing with Clemson. We heard the same thing with Georgia. We heard the same thing with Ohio State. And now we're hearing the same thing with Nebraska. They are chasing. It's Tennessee is the constant. It's always Clemson and Tennessee, Georgia and Tennessee, Ohio State and Tennessee. And now we're seeing Nebraska and Tennessee. Tennessee is the constant. Now, he did go on to say, talked about Nebraska's 1890 collective. Their NIL group says they have been very aggressive. Now, this tells me, was this an NIL move? Did David Sanders take that trip to Nebraska? Was he getting some type of NIL package offered? And he went out there just to hear them out. But then on the flip side of that, I want you guys, if you didn't watch the video yesterday, go back and give it a watch because I played a clip from Josh Pate. And he was talking about NIL. And sometimes as fans, we don't have the details. We don't have the numbers. We speculate. And that's what we do. That's what fans do. But Josh Pate made the point that, especially when you're talking about a guy like David Sanders, every school that is in on him, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Tennessee, Nebraska, they're all going to have a pretty large NIL package in place for David Sanders. But he went on to talk about Tennessee and what makes them unique and what makes them handle NIL the right way is that they've got a plan in place. They're not just offering a lump sum. They're not just throwing a dollar amount. They have a plan, and that plan is leading to success with recruiting with NIL. Very interesting stuff from Josh Pate yesterday. If you missed that, but I do ask you guys, what do you think? You can put it in the comments. Is David Sanders fishing for NIL money? I don't think he is. I don't think he's that type of kid. I think he's more about family, more about relationships, more about development and growth and opportunity. NIL will play a factor because he's the number one offensive tackle in the country. We know that. But let's go take a listen. Also, Josh Newberg had Matt Ray from VolQuest.com on. Let's take a listen to his comments, and we'll kind of compare and contrast Nebraska versus Tennessee coming out of this huge weekend for the Vols and David Sanders. Let's take a listen.
So roughly 3 weeks away from his decision, who do you believe is Tennessee's biggest competition for David Sanders?
Josh, I think Nebraska swung. I think Nebraska is very much in this, and you can't discount them. I still think that for me today, I would say that Ohio State is probably that team that's right there, right at the top of this with Tennessee. I just think when you look at David Sanders' process and that family has done such an excellent job throughout this thing. I don't think they've tipped their hand very much in any direction, but I think when you look at the consistency of visits to Tennessee and Ohio State and the amount of time and details that they've kind of combed over between those two programs, I still think that's important, to them. I think he wanted to get one more look at Nebraska because of the way that they've recruited them, and they're certainly in the mix, but I would still say Ohio State is Tennessee's biggest competition today.
So we're calling Ohio State Tennessee's biggest competition today. So again, when David Sanders wants one last look, he wants one final opportunity. He went to Nebraska, and then he came to Tennessee. Did he go to Ohio State? No, so Ohio State's Tennessee's biggest competition, but he didn't take that last visit back to Ohio State. He took it to Tennessee. Now, I've seen a lot of Ohio State fans pretty upset because Ohio State didn't have any type of recruiting event over the weekend. Ohio State fans not happy about that. So Matt Ray thinks Tennessee is the leader, Ohio State right on their heels. Nebraska insiders think that Tennessee is the leader, but Nebraska is right on their heels. What does Austin Price say? Sunday night, on the VolQuest message boards. They were talking about this video with Josh from Newberg and Matt Ray brought up, and Austin Price simply said, somebody brought up Matt Ray said Nebraska is third. AP said, well, I can tell you they're not first, which of course gets everybody fired up because they think that he's kind of leading us on. Tennessee's first. Tennessee's the leader. And then without any rhyme or reason, Austin Price goes and posts the utsports.com profile of Jordan Matthews. Now, what does that mean? If you didn't follow recruiting or you're not on the general's quarters, AP was all over that recruitment of Jordan Matthews. All the national guys were saying Texas. Austin Price continued to say the Vols were in the best spot to land Matthews. Does that sound familiar when you've got Steve Wiltfong out here saying Ohio State's the team to beat, Nebraska's the team to beat, Georgia's the team to beat, Clemson's the team to beat? AP has been consistent in saying Tennessee has put themselves in a nice position. The final quote from Sunday, he said, the Sanders family have handled things perfectly to keep everyone guessing. It's one of the best recruitments I've handled in a long time, and there is 2+ weeks left for all kinds of chatter and rumors. It will be a wild one until the end. So Austin Price has been consistent. And I always laugh, and most of you guys get it, the people that say, oh, all Boogie does is rip his information off from VolQuest. No, I do the same thing that you guys do. If you're in the general's quarters, you're trying to figure out what Austin's talking about the same way as I am. And we come here and we talk about it. That's why I give credit to Matt Ray, to Austin Price. Those guys are the best in the business when it comes to following recruiting. But we can come together and we can speculate. Why is Austin posting this or saying that or doing this or doing that? But I think I'm starting to feel confident that David Sanders is trending to Tennessee based on all the information coming out of the visits. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Jump into the comment section and let me know. As always, make sure you smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. Go check out the merch. We got brand new Talkin Vols merchandise, because if you're talking Vols, you're talking Vols for life. Go check out the VWO shirts, bonfire.com/store/Talkin Vols. That link's also in the description below. As always, shout out to all the members of the channel. Could not do this without you. You want to support this channel. You want to keep this thing moving ahead. Think about hitting that join button over there. Just $1, just $1 a month. You get custom Talkin Vols emojis, access to fan call-in shows, all kinds of fun perks and benefits. But if not, hit the thumbs up. That's quick, free, and easy. Jump to the comment section. Let's talk about it, because this is the Talkin Vols Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.